Hey guys, this is Camfrey15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another Police in a Pod episode review for you guys. And this episode, I liked it. I enjoyed it. And it very touched some real life damn elements you see in today's world, and that's obviously about the whole issue regarding domestic abuse and everything. Which is very freaking interesting in how men treat women, and kind of when men sometimes try to be the more dominant, they get a little bit aggressive and physical where they shouldn't even be doing that and stuff like that. Now, the back half of the episode covered this girl named Makita, who we get a more understanding, who works in the criminal affairs, the whole area where we see that Kawhi obviously is afraid to go to and everything. But we kind of find out her whole thing is, well, we find out from the background information, she went to an all-girls high school, and she's not kind of cool with men in a bit, and because she sees men kind of in a way where it's like, oh, kind of dangerous and stuff like that, and they could be hostile. But we see that Fuji's like, well, it's only to what you interpret them. Typically, they're nice, caring people. It depends on obviously the type of man personality they have there and everything. But honestly, I liked Makita. Obviously, we also do find out she actually took Fuji's position in criminal affairs and everything and stuff like that, so that was cool. But essentially, the main like point of this episode was truly just structured around abuse, but mostly in a domestic way. Obviously, domestic abuse has been one of the more recent talking points within the last 5, 6, 7 years, that has been getting a lot more, traction as of late. Obviously, because a lot of people start to speak out and say, this guy freaking did this horrible stuff to me. And obviously they bring him in, you have evidence and everything, and then guess what? You find out, oh, they did do that. It's a big ongoing thing even in sports and stuff like that, because you have it to where sometimes some sports athletes are linked to domestic abuse, and sometimes it's the players doing those types of things. You get like one part of it where we see in the best, before we start the second half of the episode, where the Fuji sees this one girl, she turns the siren on, and Kawhi's kind of just chilling in the car like nothing's gonna happen. But then Fuji sees obviously the woman on the street, and I'll say this: Fuji's got a good eye, and she's really good at her job as a detective / cop, because she picks up on some things that Kawhi doesn't pick up on. And we have to remember, Kawhi is just essentially a rookie cop, and essentially Fuji's teaching her like, hey, you got to learn some of these things and know and understand, like, okay, why did I do this? Why did I do that? Especially when it pertains to the girl and everything. You just can't talk to these people and say yada 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 yada. You got to go deeper and understand and see facial expressions and what their body gives off and everything. And you see how she quickly turned around and talked to the lady. You find out, and Kawhi's like, this lady seems fine, she just seems a little sad, but she seems fine. But then Fuji's like, where's your other sandal? And then Kawhi's like, looked down, and she sees that, oh, the lady's missing a sandal. And obviously she's like, I didn't see that. And we find out that this lady was obviously, was hit by her boyfriend. Essentially was a case of domestic abuse there, and everything. And that was kind of what this episode was centered around. And that was kind of what truly the first half of this episode was centered around. And essentially we start the episode off where obviously we have, I think it was like these underage, no, they're not underage. There was these men that were essentially freaking smoking in an area where they weren't supposed to be smoking with. I found it hilarious. It was like a funny comedic moment of the episode to where they were like, obviously they know Kawhi and Fuji are cute girls. They're very cute. I'm more of a Fuji guy. I think Fuji's hot. And they're like, hey, can we ask for your number, please? Yeah, your number. And I found it hilarious. She writes it down and essentially gives them the 911 number. And they're like, are you freaking kidding me, man? I'm like, that's honestly funny, man. Honestly, if I was a girl cop and some guy was asking for my number, I'd honestly freaking troll them by just like, oh, you want my number? Okay, here you go. And they just, if I could just see the reaction, the fact that it's a 911, that was a good joke. I think I definitely wonder if some actually police women actually do that. If some random guy is hitting on them and say, "Hey, why don't we go out? Could I get your number? You're kind of cute." I would find that completely hilarious. If I was ever in the police force and I watched this episode, I have no intention of getting in the police force, but if I ever had, and I had a coworker who was a policewoman, I'd definitely say, "Hey, here's a good joke I saw from the show. You can take if it comes to guys hitting on you, and stuff like that." And you just write 911 on a piece of paper. That would be funny as hell. But the main part of the episode starts with them walking up to this lady, wondering how old she is, and then we see Kawhi look over and we see this young girl. They eventually take this young girl in, and we kind of find out she's a runaway from home. At the same time, Kawhi essentially interrogates her, and we kind of find out, well, she's kind of been sleeping with other dudes for money and stuff like that. And it was funny because the way she was expressing it, it's like Kawhi didn't know all these different sexual types of terms, or she forgot about them as this girl's expressing to her and everything. And it's like, bruh, how do you forget some of these things? Like, she's even saying like he's stuck it in the, I'm just gonna leave it at that, PG. But I found it freaking hilarious, to say the least, and everything, that Kawhi wasn't picking up on all these different terms and everything. But it eventually leads into the fact that, well, she was running away from home, because her mom was always away, and her dad was always away, or stepdad in a way, because her mom got remarried, from what I believe. That's what they said. And the thing is, we find out later on, the mom and her stepdad come by to come get her after they call her. Obviously, the cops call her up, and then we kind of find some information more. Mom's kind of upset about this, but the father, he kind of looks nonchalant about this whole thing. He kind of looks a little bit nervous. Now Fuji asked for like his signature and everything, and essentially we find out from as they kind of, Fuji interrogates this girl a little bit more, we find out that, well, the reason why she ran away from home was because when her mom would go to work for long periods of essentially when her mom would work for most of the day, the dad would do things that he probably should not be doing to an underage girl slash stepdaughter, and he was, well, what she said, R-wording her. Again, I'm going to keep it PG. If you know what the R word means, you know what the R word means. You should be old enough to understand. But honestly, I was actually pretty shocked. Like, I was like, wow. But, this is a real life element. If you really do not believe things like this don't happen, trust me, there's things like that where you have some pretty bad, and there's really bad dads out there, and especially if they have a daughter, they give into those desires, and sometimes they just do it just to get pure enjoyment, or just do it for some other disgusting reason. It happens out there, and that's obviously a thing of domestic abuse right there, because this dad is literally doing sexual things to his stepdaughter in an abusive way, and that's why she ran away and everything. And obviously she couldn't do anything about it, so she did the best thing in her interest, is run away. Now I don't know about the other things about her sleeping with the other guys and stuff like that. That's still a no type of thing, especially if you're like getting paid to do that and stuff like that. But if there's something I didn't pick up there, please put that in the comment section if I messed up. But she didn't really do that stuff. She just did it to get money or something like that. But yeah. But yes, it was actually, that's a pretty actually really freaking big talking type point in terms of when it comes to themes like that of domestic abuse and everything. And it's something that definitely should not be tolerated, and you will and you can go to prison for that. It's cool in the back half of the episode we find out that, well, the mom ended up getting a divorce, and the girl ended up starting living back with her mom because, well, obviously, now she's in a safer home now that the divorce has happened and everything. So it was it was nice. But this was a nice opening, I guess you could say life lesson to teach, obviously, young men and other people, like, listen, don't do things, should never put your hands aggressively on a woman like that, and stuff like that, unless, a woman says, hey, it's okay if we do this, and you can touch me and everything. But it's like the phrase says when you're in school, keep your hands to yourself, and stuff like that, because the moment you put your hands on a woman without their consent, well, bad things can happen. Even if you have good of heart, guess what? Sometimes things can be blown out of proportion and you may look in the wrong, and so, like they say, you might be in the wrong place, wrong time. But this is definitely an eye-opening type of thing, because listen, domestic abuse is out there. And you may be living one of, I guess you can say, your best or what you would deem perfect life. Well, guess what? You never know what's going on in that world. You never know what's going on in the world. Human trafficking is a big thing. Domestic abuse, a bunch of despicable acts going on in this world that you don't even know. And cops look for these type of peoples for dang near not only days, months, years, till they finally catch said person, and stop what's going on. But yeah, that's kind of it and everything. But I enjoyed this episode, and it was very eye-opening. One last thing before I get out of here. The one thing I did love is the fact that in the interrogation, Kawhi had with this girl, she was telling her, like, there's this car you can go to, like, this love hotel. Oh, don't worry, I'll make sure I'll give you a condom if you ever did do something. And she sends her a letter, Kawhi, and it has a freaking gift card to said love hotel with a condom. And I honestly cracked my ass off. I'm like, bruh. Kawhi was like, I'm like, okay, this girl's looking out for a fellow police officer. If she wants her to, I don't know, I guess get laid, well then make sure you're doing it and you have safe sex, I guess. But I found that hilarious. But yes. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna get it for. Hopefully, you guys have a great rest of your day. I know you're in this video. If you get, like I said, put in the comment section your thoughts on that. Do you know anybody that's been a victim of domestic abuse? You don't have to speak about it. You can just say yes, and everything. But yes, this is definitely a serious topic. I do like the fact that this show is seemingly willing to touch very touchy, serious topics that go on in the real world. So I'm very interested to see what's going to be the next serious point that we're going to have to deal with. Hit that subscribe button if you want to get more anime content, as well as any of the other Winter of Anime 2022 stuff. And then, yeah, but other than that, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Catch you guys in the next video. Till then, guys, see you guys later. Peace.